Hello folks, this is Mike, PC31, the Vinyl Policeman, and I wanted to show you what I've just picked up from Black Friday, Record Store Day. Picked up 4 records, so it was relatively quiet. I picked up a lot more at the last Record Store Day. One regret, and they had a copy in my local record store, Heathen Chemistry in Fareham, Hampshire in the UK, but I didn't pick it up and I wish I had now. Randy Nelson's just shown it in his video actually, and it looks superb. And that's the Eric Burdon and War. That looks a really good box set, so I may still try and pick that up. But the way it sits at the moment, I've got 4. First one to show you, Randy interestingly also said when we exchanged a few comments, he imagined I'd pick this one up, and of course I did, Randy. It's the Joe Strummer record from Record Store Day. Out on Dark Horse, as Joe's box sets and things have been coming out on recently. This was recorded from the soundboard at Music Millennium in Portland, and Joe, it was actually recorded on the 2nd of November 1999, and Joe had just released Rock Art and the X-Ray Style on the 18th of October 1999. And that was the first Mescaleros album, really great album. So this was only a month, in fact not even that, a couple of weeks later, where Joe's doing a tour of the US, and he goes into the indie record store, Music Millennium, and he records this. It's one which I was really looking forward to. There's been bootlegs of this knocking around, but this is the first time it's actually been mixed and mastered properly. On it, it's quite interesting because there are not that many tracks in it, and it is genuinely all acoustic. It is literally just Joe and an acoustic guitar, and the tracks on it, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 tracks. Interesting enough, it's not like a 12-inch, there's 5 tracks on one side of the album, and the same 5 tracks, same mix, everything is on the other side as well. I haven't seen that before, but the tracks Joe does are Junko Partner from Sandinista 1980, X-Ray Style from X-Ray Style, Island Hopping from Earthquake Weather, which was, what was that, 1989, that's right. Road to Rock and Roll from X-Ray Style, and Trash City, which is on Permanent Record, the soundtrack. But it's one of those that Joe, I don't know if you see a picture there from the actual event in the record store, but Joe's guitar goes out of tune during it, and Joe's talking away to the audience and says at the end, I've got some time, so I'll hang around and sign some things. So it's if you like Joe Strummer, it's an absolute must-have. It's brilliant. If you're just a passing fan of Joe Strummer, probably not for you, because they're stripped back to, as I say, just Joe's voice and an acoustic guitar, and but it's off the soundboard. 3,600 apparently of these produced, and 500 made it to the UK. And this continues the celebration of Joe. This would have been Joe's 70th year. So, but really, really pleased to get this one. As I say, if you're a big Joe fan, you definitely must pick it up. The second one is from Davies, and that's Fractured Minds. And this one was originally released in 2007, and it was only 3 years after Dave had his dreadful stroke, which was a really, really bad one. It debilitated him so much, and he had a long road to recovery from it. And as I say, this is his first album afterwards. And I think you need to listen to this album in that context. It was released on CD at the time. It's never been on vinyl before. It's not as good as Bug. Bug still remains my favourite Dave Davies solo album. The songs on it are, a lot of the songs are not overly strong, but Dave has actually done all the instrumentation, all the arranging and all the production. And I think therein lies one of the problems. I really don't like it when artists produce their own albums, because I just don't think they do it as well as if they had an independent, good producer. And I think this could have been a much better album if it had an independent producer. But in saying that, there are some highlights. But funny enough, I'll just show you the vinyl, because the vinyl's... So it's a 3-sided album. The 4th side hasn't got an etching or anything. There we go. That's the actual vinyl. 2 of those. It's just a completely plain side. But interesting enough, the side I find myself playing a lot is side C, which has got The Blessing, Fractured Minds, and God in My Brain. And it's, you find where Dave's recovering from his stroke, you find him using quite a lot of keyboards. There's a lot of drum machines on it. But Dave's done everything on it. And you've got some fantastic Indian tabla work. Some of the drumming on it is really good, presumably all from loops which have been put together. But it's not the strongest of albums, and it's an album you need to listen to in the context of what's happened, and Dave is recovering. So this feels like almost a therapy album where Dave is kind of, you know, trying to get strong again. And I know he had to relearn to play guitar and musical instruments. So it's incredibly worthy in that respect. But as I say, it's not the strongest tracks. And the artwork... No, Dave, what were you thinking? The artwork's not great. But as I say, it's an album too to listen into context of where Dave's just been. And but as I say, side C, The Blessing, Fractured Minds, God in My Brain in particular are really good tracks. I think they're excellent. There's a lot of great guitar on it, as you'd expect. Kind of, you feel a bit of the Stones through it, which is good. But that's Dave's album from Record Store Day. And the other thing I picked up, also from Dave Davies, and the artwork's much better on this one actually, Rare Unearthed Demo, written by Dave Davies and Jerry Goffin in 1992, and it's called 21st Century. And it was funny actually, because when I first saw this advertised and I was talking to my guys in the local record store, I just got into my head this was going to be 20th Century Man off of Muswell Hillbillies, and Dave was doing a cover of it. It's a completely different song. It's a song which Dave and Jerry Goffin wrote back in 1992. It's still really only demo quality, which it does acknowledge that. But basically, Dave and Jerry Goffin got together in 1992 in LA, coffee shop, started writing the lyrics to this particular song, the millennium only being eight years away. And then they recorded it. I think Dave took the lyrics away, went home, recorded it at home. And as I say, really just a demo. But yeah, it's a good song. But the artwork there, which is actually by Dave, I think it's terrific, actually. I think it's really good. And the second side is called Web of Time, which was written just by Dave, recorded at Conch. And that was produced by a third party, so that's good. And you get a nice inner with this one as well, where you've got about the songs and you've got the lyrics for the 2 songs as well. So that's a really nice 7-inch to pick up. 7 inches, so the artwork continues. So that was good. The final thing I picked up from Record Store Day is, and Richard McCook, I noticed, has already shown this, as you'd expect from Richard with David Bowie, the EP, which was tracks recorded, outtakes and remixes, which were all recorded around about the time of The Next Day, which I think is an absolutely fantastic Bowie album. So when I saw this was coming out, I was quite keen to get hold of it, because the musicians who he was playing with at the time, you know, Al Slick, Gail Dorsey, etc., all fantastic. And the songs on this, it's the same kind of label as The Next Day as well. But the actual songs on this one, brilliantly produced, Bowie and Tony Visconti, superb. Atomica on side 1, which was one of the tracks from the sessions there, which didn't make it onto the Next Day album, is fantastic. Absolutely brilliant track. Then you've got Love Is Lost, which is on The Next Day. There's a remix of that, and I think it's about 11 minutes long, but it's fantastic. You hear the riff to Ashes pop up through it, but it's a completely different groove, completely different atmosphere to the song. I love the original, but I love this one just as much. Informer, superb track. I'd Rather Be High, also on the next day, but a remix there. And again, it's fantastic remix, like it as much as the original. Like a Rocket Man, excellent. Born in a UFO, which reminds me of Bruce's mid-80s Born in the USA, and with the phrasing of it as well. And God Bless the Girl, which again is a really good track. This is a fantastic EP. Go out and get this one, folks. This is, if you like Bowie, this is a must-have for the collection. And if you like Next Day, this really is a companion to it. I think most of these tracks, if not all of them, are available on previous releases, but not releases I had. So I'm really happy to get this one. So that was my 4 pickups from Record Store Day. The only other thing I just wanted to show you is something which I picked up at the weekend. Nothing to do with Record Store Day, but it's one which I think quite a few folks in the VC will be interested in. And it's such an interesting album. I've always loved Warren Ellis, the work he's done with Nick Cave over the years. I've got lots of the soundtracks and various things, and I've seen them in concert as well together. This is something which I saw in an HMV. Didn't know anything about it. Marianne Faithfull with Warren Ellis. Beautiful artwork as well. Can you see kind of embossed there where it's just risen above the cover? And it's called She Walks in Beauty. And the surprise with this one, which I didn't realise at the time, is that when you start to look at the sleeve notes, Nick Cave is all over it, playing piano, and Brian Eno's on several tracks as well. So the pedigree is incredible. But this is an absolutely beautiful album. Double album. And what you've got is poetry, 18th, 19th century poetry. You've got Byron, Thomas Hood, John Keats, Shelley, Tennyson, Wordsworth. And basically, Warren Ellis, with the help of Nick Cave and a bit of Brian Eno, have put ambient music behind Marianne Faithfull reading those poems. And it's beautiful. It's an excellent album. If you like the poetry, if you like the work of Warren Ellis and Nick Cave, this is an excellent album, and one which I'll certainly be playing quite a lot. In the centre there, you've got the actual poems themselves. So as Marianne Faithfull was reading them, and this came out, I think it was last year, could have been the year before, but so Marianne Faithfull, I think, would have been about 73 at the time. Her voice is quite croaky, as it is, because obviously she had terrible laryngitis decades ago, and it's still kind of very deep, and it fits the poetry superbly. But this was a fantastic pickup, which I'm really, really happy to get. Beautiful album, looks beautiful. The quality of it, really thick sleeves, but excellent. That's it, folks. I'm going to do another video soon because I've been picking up a lot of really good stuff that I want to show you and talk about. So I'm probably going to do another one tomorrow. But in that, I'm going to show you some bootlegs. B-52s being one of them. I want to talk about that. Springsteen's new release. I want to talk about that. Got that over there. Icicle Works, Talking Heads, Ozzy Osbourne. Got some great things to show you. But I hope you got what you wanted from Record Store Day. If you didn't, obviously a lot of those things are still out there. I'm going to go and try and track down the Eric Burdon War box set because that looks so good. Well done, Randy, for getting that one. And I'll speak to you again soon.
So we'll go no more a-roving, so late into the night. Though the heart be still as loving, and the moon be still as bright, for the sword outwears its sheath, and the soul wears out the breast, and the heart must pause to breathe, and love itself have rest. Though the night was made for loving, and the day returns too soon, we will go no more a roving by the light